Hey, this is Ray the CPA. I'm coming at you because I'd like to talk to you about your retirement account. So whether or not you have a 401k, a 403b, a 457 account, what I'm talking about is your little nest egg or traditional IRA. That place where you've squirreled away your nest egg. So again, because of the coronavirus and the related Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Stability Act, CARES, we've got some different options than we did before. So, first thing, you can now withdraw up to $100,000 from your account, and the IRS is waiving the 10% penalty. Okay? Let me back up. So, traditionally, if you have a retirement account, you can withdraw whatever you want. But typically, whatever your third-party administrator for that account is, they are going to withhold 20% for the tax liability because the funds that are going into are either tax deferred or you're basically putting off holding taxes, and in exchange, they get to hold this money for an extended period of time. Any hoozle, the IRS is going to withhold that 20%. Now, depending on what tax bracket you're in, let's say that your effective tax rate is 35% for the year that you do an early withdrawal. Well, at the end, they're going to withhold 20%, and at the end, you're going to owe the difference, another 15% or so, if your effective tax rate happens to be 35 for an individual. Now, I just said a bunch of stuff. What do I mean? Let's use round numbers. Let's use 100 grand. So if you have $100,000 in your retirement account, typically, using the example that I just mentioned, you withdraw it earlier than 59 and a half, right, that age. So you now have to pay taxes on what you owe. So your third-party administrator, the person that's managing that money for you, Vanguard or what have you, they're going to withhold. They're only going to give you $80,000. Because they were going to withhold 20 grand, they're going to send that over to the IRS. Now, at the end of the year, let's say you owe 35% on that $80,000, so you owe another $15,000. Essentially, the IRS will bill you for that $15,000 at the end of the year. But wait, there's more. There's also a 10% penalty on top of the taxes you owe. There's a penalty for withdrawing early, so that would be an additional 10%. So if we go back to your $100,000 withdrawal, you would really only get in your hand, or actually you would get $80,000 now. They would withhold, the third-party administrator, would withhold 20% for the IRS, right? Then, tax time. The IRS would assess you a 10% penalty on the $100,000 you withdrew. So now you owe the IRS 10 grand. They then would say, hey, you're in the 35% tax bracket. You actually owed us taxes of $35,000, so then they're going to take their additional 15. So what's going to end up happening is your $100,000, you're going to end up having to pay in that scenario, in that example, you're going to have to pay $100,000 minus $20,000 minus $15,000 minus an additional $10,000. So you lose a lot of your cash. So for the CARES Act, now you don't have to worry about that. Let me back up. You don't have to worry about the 10% penalty. So in our $100,000 example, you wouldn't have to pay that $10,000 at the end of the year. In addition, they're going to waive the $20,000. So you can withdraw all $100,000 knowing that you're going to be on the hook for the 20 grand. Now here are some of the highlights. If you put back, so let's say right now because of the CARES Act, I am personally affected by the CARES Act, meaning I was laid off, meaning I am sick or my family's sick. You have to be personally affected by COVID-19. That's first. So I have $100,000. And the reason I keep using $100,000 is because it's $100,000 or 100% of your account, right? But not more than $100,000. So if you have $98,000, withdraw 100%. If you have $250,000 in your retirement account, you can only do 100 grand. Okay? So where was I? So for the Oh, you have to be personally affected. You have 3 years to pay this back, okay? So you have 3 years to pay back the loan. If you can put the funds back, you won't be penalized, and you can amend your tax returns to get that tax liability back. So that's one thing to note. Two, another thing to note is, let's see, let me look at my notes real quick. Another thing to note is that typically you would have only 60 days to pay that tax. Now you have until October 15th, which is October 15th, 2021, which is the last possible time that you could file your return for 2020 and 2021. So what that means is you withdraw the money. You have quite a long time to either put that money back, to make sure that you're paying, or you've put back your required taxation on that. So they're not going to withhold 20% for the IRS. You're responsible. And that's why you have until October 21st of the next year. No penalty. You are still responsible for taxes, but they're waiving the mandatory withhold that your administrator would have to do for you. Let's see, what else? You can't answer me? Answer me in the comments if you can think of something different, or pardon me, if you can think of more questions or concerns you might have, let me know. Now, why would you want to pull money from your retirement account? You're on the verge of Skid Row, right? You're in a financial hardship. You're in a physical hardship. It could be anything, a variety of reasons. Consider everything thoughtfully and do the best thing for your business, your family, and survive this thing. Okay. I'm going to get out of here. It's time to feed the dogs. Again, subscribe, like this video, share this video to somebody that you think might need it. You can hit me up on cbtlimited.com. I'm all over the internets. So you can find me here on YouTube. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on TikTok even. You can find me on Instagram. So keep those comments coming. Keep those questions coming. And let me know. This video was actually a result of a conversation I had. And the young gentleman told me, hey, this is a good topic. I'd like to know more about this. So there you go. Let's see if I forgot anything. Let me look at my notes. You have a spouse, a dependent, you are diagnosed with COVID, you're experiencing a layoff, a furlough, reduction in hours, inability to work, lack of childcare. That kind of thing is what this early retirement withdrawal would be. For up to $100,000, check. 20% withholding, you're still responsible for the taxes, but that 20% withholding is going to be waived at first, so you'll have the money to work with. You can redeposit the withdrawn money up to, let's see, you have until October 2021 to redeposit that money, and then it's like you never took it out. Let's see, what else? There's also, so there's another part of this too. So there's also loans. But again, and actually this is for everything I just mentioned over the last 8 minutes. It depends on your plan. Okay, I'm gonna lean in because it's serious. It depends on your plan. So for example, I have a retirement plan. One of my retirement plans is from a company I'm no longer with. They have not opted to follow the CARES Act. I can't force them to do that. So for me, I wouldn't. The only option I would have if I needed to do that is I would have to. That was a fly, by the way. I'm not schizophrenic, but I would have to transfer those funds into a traditional IRA or another qualified plan in order to have more access to those funds. I'm opting to just leave them there. All right. Again, this is Ray the CPA. Like, subscribe, hit me up anywhere on the internet so that you can find me, and I'd love to do more videos and share more information with you. All right, we will survive this. We're going to be okay. Ray the CPA out.